4th and goal to go to the 2. 34 seconds left to go in the ball game. This is the play right now. Takes the snap. Targeted goes in. Targeted all alone. And the quarterback keeps. Wow, what a call. Nobody touched him.
Here is Jeff, the host of the Gridiron.
Right, now, of course, now this one here, right? You know, as we were talking before, I said sometimes you can outthink yourself or get too cute and all that stuff and everything like that. And as Herm Edwards one time said, some guy, Herm Edwards was, I think at the time, was the coach of the Jets. And the guy asked him some kind of question, and Herm, Herm don't curse or nothing like that. Herm's a real nice guy, classy guy. Yeah, of course he's the guy from Miracle of the Meadowlands 1. He's the one who scooped up the fumble from Joe Pisarcik trying to hand the ball off to Larry Zonka. They ran it for a touchdown for the Eagles, but Herm's a real knowledgeable, very classy kind of. And one time the reporter asked him some kind of stupid question, as usual. And Herm's like, you play to win the game. Hello? But the thing is that sometimes you can just get a little too cute, Now, the one thing I want to talk, is that to talk about the defense like next. But you can just sometimes outthink yourself, you're up by 2 scores, not 1, but 2. Right, the other team is running out of timeouts. Right, all you got to do is keep the clock running. Right, or one thing they also mentioned there too. Right, was maybe like instead of standing in the pocket, okay, especially if they're blitzing, right, try to get where you get the rolling pocket where you're not standing in the pocket and they're blitzing, right, and you get some pressure on you. Roll them out, right? Maybe we can get a little more in the open, right? Or if there's a lot of, just take a sack. Just keep that clock running, right? Giants could have almost possibly ran the clock out here. Let me share the screen here. Share screen. Okay, here we are. All right. I'm going to share this for a couple things here, but this one here. Right. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. Okay. All right. So the Giants said, got a 2-yard run. Gave it to Cam. Right. Got 2 yards, and I guess it went down to 5:07. Oh, I'm sorry. Then 5:07 went down to 5:02, and then the Broncos called their timeout. So we got 5 seconds off the clock, so we're down about 5 minutes to go. Right. Broncos used their first timeout, though. Then we gave it to Cam once again. He got 3 yards. Now it was 2nd and 8, got a 3-yard run. So now brought it down to 3rd and 5. So the Broncos used their second timeout. Now there's 4 minutes and 56 seconds left to go. Okay. So now you got 3rd and 5, the Giants' 35-yard line. If the Giants, let's see here. Let me get this here. Okay, 4:47. Okay, so after the interception, right, there was about 4:47 left. But, 4:56, so say you run the ball again, okay? You get down to about 4:50. Then the Broncos use their 3rd timeout. Whether you take a sack or whether they roll the pocket out and it's like there's nobody wide open, nobody within, there's not a defender within 35 yards of a guy. He's not wide open. Just take off and run, or take a knee, take a sack, or whatever, right? Or just run the ball. Keep the clock running. Do not run out of bounds, right? Keep the clock running. So if the 3rd down run, right, was not successful, say we get down to about 4 minutes and 50 seconds, but the Broncos use their 3rd timeout. Now they have no more timeouts. They only have the 2-minute warning left, right? So they took over, and once we boot the ball down the field, they have and we boot it and they run it back. So there's about 4 minutes and 40 seconds, somewhere around there left to go. Okay, but if we're at our own 35 and we got the hammer there, and he's Mile High Stadium, I mean, One thing we do have is we do have very good punt coverage and kickoff coverage. We've had our special teams coverage and return are been very good. I'm not saying so much about our kickers, right? But our return teams and coverage teams have been very good this season, right? So chances are, the Broncos probably would have had the ball. I mean, I'm just saying, 30, maybe around the 25-yard line, even say their 30-yard line, okay? May not even been at their 30, but they would have had about 4 minutes and 40 seconds to go, but they would have had no timeouts. Now, if we could have had them take, just say, about 2 minutes off the clock, right? Go 70 yards. Say they do it in 2 minutes, right? Keep them in, make the tackle, keep them in bounds, right? Keep the clock running, right? Let them, if they're going to score, let them score, but make them go 70 yards, make them go 7, 8 plays or whatever, or something like that, right? But keep the clock running. If we can get that down under about 3 minutes, right? Then there's a good chance, a possibility that they would have gone for the onside kick, right? If they go for the onside kick, it's very difficult nowadays to recover an onside kick. Very difficult. Yep. Yeah. Banks needs to be on the practice squad of a high school team. That's what he needs to be. But it's very difficult to recover an onside kick nowadays, right? I'm just saying, suppose, right? They got the ball at about 4 minutes and 40 seconds. And just, once again, say it took them 2 minutes to score a touchdown, right? It's about 2 minutes and 40 seconds. We recover the onside kick, right? Now we got the ball around midfield, right? We run the ball one time. Now we run it down to the 2 minute warning, right? Now the clock's not going to stop again. So after second, we run again. Now it's after second down, right? Now it's going to be third down, but we run another 40 seconds. Now it's down to 1:20. Okay. We run the ball again, right? We run another 40 seconds off. Now it's down to 40 seconds, right? Then now it's fourth down. Okay. We let the whole clock burn off, right? The whole 40 seconds, right? So now we're down about 40 seconds. Now we can punt the ball, right? Get them, punt it out of bounds, punt it into the end zone or whatever we want, right? And have them start at the 20-yard line. They might have maybe about 30 seconds left to go. They would have to go about 80 yards in about 30 seconds. Certainly not saying it's out of the question, all right? But they would have to score a touchdown, not a field goal, right? Touchdown, field goal. Oh, wait, no. Hold on. It was 26. No. They would have had to kick a field goal. Okay. But, right. So they wouldn't have a lot of time left. So there's almost a possibility we could almost ran the clock out on them. Right. Sometimes you just outthink yourself. We could have killed the clock and it would have our friend. Yeah. Yep. I mean, at that particular point in time, the friend's your ally. I mean, the clock's your ally. Right. Once we threw that interception, it became our worst. Became our enemy, without question. Let's see what we got here. Giants went aggressive with their play calls on offense, and it burned them. While defensive coordinator Shane Bowen is under fire for his passive approach to the final seconds, offensive coordinator Mike Kafka and Daboll might have gotten too aggressive at the end of the game. For starters, the Giants tried and failed to get a 2-point conversion when leading 19-0. Now, for me, I would have tried to kick the extra point. Once again, doesn't mean that he would have kicked the extra point, right? But I'm going for an extra point. I'm not going for a 2-point conversion. I'm trying to get a point. But let's see what we got here. Why go for 2? Are you guarding against giving up 3 touchdowns, which of course happened, and then some when the defense is pitching a third quarter shutout? I'm going to try to get an extra point. That's all I'm trying to do. That was on our chart, Daboll said, and that's what we went with. Chart. That's what he said. The other controversial call resulted in Jackson Dart's comeback fueling interception. leading 26-16 and facing a 3rd down and 5 at the 35-yard line with 4:56 remaining. The brain trust called a pass instead of a run. That worst-case scenario likely would have led the Broncos calling their 3rd consecutive and final timeout before a field position-changing punt. I don't know if this is Mike Kafka trying to be cute. I don't know if this is Brian Daboll trying to be aggressive. I don't know if this is Jackson Dart just trying to be a hero. Giants legend Tiki Barber railed on the WFAN postgame show. This is on the play call, period. The only thing you do is force the Broncos to use 3 timeouts, keep the clock running, and punt the ball away. It's an inexcusable play call, and I don't understand it in any capacity. Former NFL head coach John Gruden agreed. You have to milk every single second, Gruden told Barstool Sports. When you lose a game like this, the coach is going to be at fault, but a lot of people are at fault. Daboll defending putting the ball in the rookie's hands despite his frequent acknowledgement that his rookies makes mistakes by doubling down on his play caller and quarterback. Mike called a good play, Daboll said. I thought it was an aggressive call to make a good play against the right coverage, what we anticipated to get. Now, once again, to be fair, the receiver was open. It was not a good pass. But Ed and Daboll, they had some pressure. Jackson kind of got tripped up, but I have a lot of confidence in him, and that's why we called it. Outside of quarterback, no position has given Daboll and general manager Joe Shane more headaches over the past 2 years than the kicker. What's the plan this week? Stick with McAtamney after 3 total missed PATs. Turn back to Graham Gano, who is eligible to come off injury reserve this week. Elevate Younghoe Koo, who was cut by the Falcons and lost a competition to McAtamney in the judgment of special teams coordinator Michael Gowrill. We'll see where this goes throughout the week, Daboll says. Daboll did not offer any injury updates Monday on Javon Holland, Paulson Adebo, and then, of course, Brian Burns, who left the locker room in a walking boot, but said it was a precaution. So we'll have to wait and see, because our defense, without question, could be down some of our key starters. And Burns, who I think now, I think leads the NFL in sacks. So we have basically between Adebo and Holland, we just spent $100 million for those 2 guys, and we ain't getting returns from those guys. I mean, where's this ball hawking ability from Adebo? I mean, So, sometimes, it does, when it works out, you're being aggressive and all of that, and it works out, you pat yourself on the back. But boy, I tell you, when you try to run every second off the clock you can, every second, okay, and you have them call all their timeouts, right? I mean, that might have been, obviously, hindsight's always 20/20, but you can see where there's a good possibility that the Broncos might have had maybe 10, 20 seconds or so left to go in the game. They might have had the ball at their own 10-yard line, 15, maybe 20-yard line, and they would have had to go like 40 yards or whatever, 40 or 50 yards to get in the field goal range possibly, and only had 10 or 20 seconds left to do that. Not saying they couldn't have done that, because we are talking the Giants here, right? But that would have made things a little more difficult than the way it was. I mean, just if you got to think of all these things. Even if you're up 3 scores and it's in the 4th quarter, obviously you don't want to go to the line of scrimmage. Obviously, Jackson Dart, and just stand there and wait for the play clock to count down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and clap your hands. You know what? Because the defense sees that, okay, at 1, he's calling us out. At 1, we just take off. We don't wait for no snap, and we just take off, right? So you got to, you don't want it to have to go down to 1. But, I didn't look to see. But, when it's, when you get into the 4th quarter and you apply the dagger to their heart, right? But don't call a play. Don't start the play at 10 seconds. You don't know what's going to come at the end of the game. Don't 10. I said maybe not 1. But let's get that under 5 seconds. Take another 4 or 5 seconds off the clock, right? If you do that for one drive, say it's 3 and out, instead of saying hike, right? Clapping it, whatever, right? Snapping the ball at 10 seconds. Let's get down to 4. An extra 6 seconds first down, 6 seconds on second down, an extra 6 down. It's 18 extra seconds. At the end of the game, take 18 seconds, and that's just on one drive. If you do that on 2 or 3, now you took half a minute off the clock. You take half a minute off the clock, right? Broncos don't get a chance to kick a field goal. You win the game, right? It's but it is what it is.